Section 15 of The Coming Race. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Mary Rohde. The Coming Race by Edward George Bulwer Lytton. Chapter 22. As the reader has seen, Aph Lin had not favored my general and unrestricted intercourse with his countrywomen. Though relying on my promise to abstain from giving any information as to the world I had left, and still more on the promise of those to whom had been put the same request not to question me which Z had exacted from Taee, yet he did not feel sure that if I were allowed to mix with the strangers whose curiosity the sight of me had aroused, I could sufficiently guard myself against their inquiries. When I went out, therefore, it was never alone. I was always accompanied either by one of my host's family or my child friend Taee. Bra, Aph Lin's wife, seldom stirred beyond the gardens which surrounded the house, and was fond of reading the ancient literature, which contained something of romance and adventure not to be found in the writings of recent ages, and presented pictures of a life unfamiliar to her experience and interesting to her imagination. Pictures, indeed, of a life more resembling that which we lead every day above ground, colored by our sorrows, sins, passions, and much to her what the tales of the Genii or the Arabian Nights are to us. But her love of reading did not prevent Bra from the discharge of her duties as mistress of the largest household in the city. She went daily the rounds of the chambers, and saw that the automata and the other mechanical contrivances were in order, that the numerous children employed by Aph Lin, whether in his private or public capacity, were carefully tended. Bra also inspected the accounts of the whole estate, and it was her great delight to assist her husband in the business connected with his office as chief administrator of the lighting department, so that her avocations necessarily kept her much within doors. The two sons were both completing their education at the College of Sages, and the elder, who had a strong passion for mechanics, and especially for works connected with the machinery of timepieces and automata, had decided on devoting himself to these pursuits, and was now occupied in constructing a shop or warehouse at which his inventions could be exhibited and sold. The younger son preferred farming and rural occupations, and when not attending the college, at which he chiefly studied the theories of agriculture, was much absorbed by his practical application of that science to his father's lands. It will be seen by this how completely equality of ranks is established among these people, a shopkeeper being of exactly the same grade in estimation as the large landed proprietor. Aph Lin was the wealthiest member of the community, and his eldest son preferred keeping a shop to any other avocation; nor was this choice thought to show any want of elevated notions on his part. This young man had been much interested in examining my watch, the works of which were new to him, and was greatly pleased when I made him a present of it. Shortly after, he returned the gift with interest by a watch of his own construction, marking both the time as in my watch and the time as kept among the vril-ya. I have that watch still, and it has been much admired by many among the most eminent watchmakers of London and Paris. It is of gold, with diamond hands and figures, and it plays a favourite tune among the vril-ya in striking the hours. It only requires to be wound up once in 10 months, and has never gone wrong since I had it. These young brothers being thus occupied, my usual companions in that family, when I went abroad, were my host or his daughter. Now, agreeably with the honourable conclusions I had come to, I began to excuse myself from Z's invitations to go out alone with her, and seized an occasion when that learned Gy was delivering a lecture at the College of Sages, to ask Aph Lin to show me his country seat. As this was at some little distance, and as Aph Lin was not fond of walking, while I had discreetly relinquished all attempts at flying, we proceeded to our destination in one of the aerial boats belonging to my host. A child of 8 years old, in his employ, was our conductor. My host and myself reclined on cushions, and I found the movement very easy and luxurious. "Aph Lin," said I, "you will not, I trust, be displeased with me if I ask your permission to travel for a short time, and visit other tribes or communities of your illustrious race. I have also a strong desire to see those nations which do not adopt your institutions, and which you consider as savages. It would interest me greatly to notice what are the distinctions between them and the races whom we consider civilized in the world I have left." "It is utterly impossible that you should go hence alone," said Aph Lin. "Even among the vril-ya you would be exposed to great dangers. Certain peculiarities of formation and colour, and the extraordinary phenomenon of hirsute bushes upon your cheeks and chin, denoting in you a species of An distinct alike from our own race and any known race of barbarians yet extant, would attract, of course, the special attention of the College of Sages in whatever community of vril-ya you visited, and it would depend upon the individual temper of some individual sage whether you would be received, as you have been here, hospitably, or whether you would not be at once dissected for scientific purposes. Know that when the Tur first took you to his house, and while you were there put to sleep by Taee, in order to recover from your previous pain or fatigue, the sages summoned by the Tur were divided in opinion whether you were a harmless or an obnoxious animal. During your unconscious state your teeth were examined, and they clearly showed that you were not only graminivorous but carnivorous. Carnivorous animals of your size are always destroyed, as being of savage and dangerous nature. Our teeth, as you have doubtless observed, are not those of the creatures who devour flesh. I never had observed it, and if I had, am not physiologist enough to have distinguished the difference. It is indeed maintained by Z and other philosophers that as, in remote ages, the Ana did prey upon living beings of the brute species, their teeth must have been fitted for that purpose; but even if so, they have been modified by hereditary transmission, and suited to the food on which we now exist. Nor are even the barbarians, who adopt the turbulent and ferocious institutions of Gleknas, devourers of flesh like beasts of prey. In the course of this dispute it was proposed to dissect you, but Taee begged you off, and the Tur being by office averse to all novel experiments, at variance with our custom of sparing life, except where it is clearly proved to be for the good of the community to take it, sent to me, whose business it is, as the richest man of the state, to afford hospitality to strangers from a distance. It was at my option to decide whether or not you were a stranger whom I could safely admit. Had I declined to receive you, you would have been handed over to the College of Sages, and what might there have befallen you I do not like to conjecture. Apart from this danger, You might chance to encounter some child of 4 years old,